Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk you through how I broke 20 minutes for the 5k. I actually did this back in 2019 at a park run while I was training for a marathon at the time. So I was running quite high mileage weeks, doing loads of sessions, and then this 5k was actually just a byproduct of all that marathon training. So I'm going to talk through how I did it, and then at the end I'll go through some other things that I would probably do differently if I was purely just training for a 5k now, and then just some general tips on how to go about breaking 20 minutes or wherever you're at in your 5k journey. So if you've got a time trial coming up, then hopefully this will help. So my PB before breaking 20 minutes was 20:28. So I was kind of close, but also not that close. When I broke 20 minutes, I got it down to 19:39. And yeah, there was a particular session I did that I felt was like the confidence boosting session. So I'll talk about that a little bit. Ben also actually made a video of the day that I did it, so you can go watch that after this. I'll put a link down in the description. So yeah, let's get going. So with like my sessions and like my mileage and my training, I was averaging around 100k a week, because as I said, I was like first and foremost training for a marathon, so I was really trying to get those big weeks in. And then I was doing like 2 sessions more or less, one kind of focusing on the shorter stuff like 1 or 2 minute reps, and then some sessions focusing on the longer stuff, so like kilometer or 2k or 1 mile at a slightly slower pace but around 10k to tempo pace, and then some chunks at marathon pace within my long run as well. So I got really comfortable with being uncomfortable in training, so I was doing quite a lot of sessions throughout the week, and then everything else was just all easy mileage just to recover and just using those to build up my mileage for the week. And then I was always having 1 full rest day a week where I'm not doing anything, no cross training, no running, nothing, just maybe like a walk or something. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the individual sessions because it's just really boring. So if you want to see the detail, I've written a blog post with all the sessions that I did in the 6 weeks leading up to the 5k. So if you want to have a look at that, I'll put a link down in the description. And there was one particular session that I did that was like a really confidence boosting session, and that was 5 by a k at goal pace a couple of days before I was planning on doing it. So finishing that session strong really just made me think, okay, you're ready for this, you can do it. And then for the race itself, it was at a park run. It was Dulwich Park Run, and I chose Dulwich because I know it quite well. It's a lapped course, 3 laps. It's pretty flat, like one of the fastest park runs near us anyway. There's a little bit of an incline, but I mean really it's not that bad at all. And every time I go there, I run like I give it an effort. So I always kind of associate Dulwich with being where I run fast, which again, it's just a bit of a weird like mental thing, but whenever I go to Dulwich, I'm like, okay, you are here to do a job and run fast. So it all just helped with like the mental game. It's actually where I did my 10k time trial that I did for when I reached 10,000 subscribers. So you can go check that out if you fancy it. And then with the pacing, I went out trying to be as even as I could. So I would go out at like a smidge under 4 minutes a k pace. I'll put the k splits up on the screen. I just didn't want to risk going out too fast and then just crashing towards the end. So kept it all nice and level, and then managed to kick on a little bit towards the end, which was good. Ben was actually running with me, although he was actually, I don't really remember seeing him much for the race. He filmed it, so that was added pressure I didn't need. So he was kind of there to pace me a bit, but to be honest, I didn't really use him at all. I was just focused on what it felt like, and also I just had it on my watch so I could check in every now and again as well. With my watch screens, I can't remember what I would have had at the time, but if I was going into it again now, the pace field that I would focus on would be lap pace. So it just means that you can focus on the mile or kilometer that you're in rather than having average pace and it taking the average of the whole run. I just find you can make like little changes and it will reflect quite well on lap pace, so it allows you to kind of pace it a lot more evenly, I find. So I always use lap pace for any kind of important run or race, and then I would have just had like the distance and then timer on there as well. With the shoes I wore, you can probably guess, they're just sitting right next to me here. I wore the Next Percents. I only ever race in these. I don't really do any training in them, just because I like to save them for special occasions. And like what I said about going to Dulwich, because whenever I go there I run fast, it's also like the mental side of it. Like whenever I put these on, I'm running fast, so it's like putting on your good shoes. You might think, well, maybe if you'd just worn your normal shoes you wouldn't have gone under 20 minutes, and yeah, maybe that's the case, but that's just the shoes I wore and I really like them, and that's what I wear for every road race. This is the only pair I've had. I don't think I've done quite 100 miles in them yet, but yeah, they're my babies. I love them. And then in terms of where it sat within my marathon training block, because a lot of people sometimes ask where they can fit in other races within a marathon training block. So I actually did this 2 weeks out from my marathon on the Saturday, so I could still go out and do a long run the day after, albeit on extremely tired legs. And I was already reducing my mileage a bit that week anyway, because I was going into like the first week of the taper, so that was quite a good place for me to fit it in. In terms of what I would do differently if I was training for a 5k now, I would reduce the length of my long runs, probably maximum 2 hours or something, whereas when I was training for a marathon some of my long runs were really quite long, like over 20 miles, and you just don't really need that, I don't think. And then because of that, the overall volume for the week will reduce. And then with the sessions, I would really try and concentrate on getting one session in that's more focused on the shorter distance stuff, so working faster than 5k pace, which I didn't really do here at all. The slowest rep I would have done would have been at 5k pace, so like 200 meters, 400 meters, where you're really kind of pushing hard and working on your form. So as well as like the shorter rep session, I'd probably put in either a longer rep session, so kilometer repeats at like 5 to 10k pace, or like some even longer ones like mile reps at tempo pace, or a tempo run, so like 20 minutes easy, 20 minutes tempo, 20 minutes easy, just like classic tempo session. And those can either be done as standalone sessions, you can mix them all up, so you can do one session which has elements of all of those things, or mix them within your long run, but just within your week trying to find some faster stuff, some goal pace stuff, and some slightly slower like tempo effort stuff, so you're kind of hitting all aspects of training there. The other thing I would also add in is some strides, just picking one easy run in the week and then doing some strides, just to get some like top end pace but without adding too much fatigue. So for anyone who doesn't know, strides are kind of like 20 seconds fast, working on your form, just really nice running with like 45 to a minute recovery between each one. So putting in like 6 of those or something within an easy run just to work on that top end speed would be ideal as well. One thing I would say is to just not put too much pressure on yourself. I knew before I was going into this run that I was going to try and do it, but I didn't tell anybody. I told Ben, but I didn't want the added pressure of saying, oh, I'm going to go for sub 20 today, because I just knew that if anything got into my head I wouldn't be able to do it and I'd freak out and it just wouldn't happen. So don't tell anybody, like you don't need to tell anyone. And then if you do it, great. If you don't do it, it doesn't matter. You can then just try again next week. The least amount of pressure you can put on yourself, the better. Also, another important thing to work on, obviously with the 5k, it is such a mental struggle. Each kilometer is just so painful. So I think it's really important just to work on that mental game, and that's where the sessions are so important, because you get comfortable with that discomfort. I mean, not quite to that extent, but you know that you've run those paces before, you know what it feels like, and it just makes it a lot easier to push through the pain on the day. So I would definitely say just really work on that mental game, because as soon as something gets in your head to say you can't do it, you will not do it, and then you'll stop and slow down. And that's why things like doing your sessions within your long run, doing them when your legs are tired, doing things like progressions where you're working harder in the second half, or fast finish runs, they're the types of sessions that are gonna improve your mental game, because you are kind of forcing yourself to be uncomfortable towards the end of a run and to just push through when you don't really want to. So those types of sessions are really good. Okay, well that's everything that I wanted to talk about. Hopefully that has helped if you have a 5K coming up. And finally, I just want to say a big thank you to my channel members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It really means a lot and it's so appreciated, so thank you. If you have any other tips, please drop them down in the comments below, because there'll be loads of people who are trying to break 20 minutes at the moment who will find all of those tips useful. All my training is on Strava, so if you did want to have a deeper dive into it, I'm sure you can like hunt it all down if you want to. That's kind of it really. I don't know what the next video will be, but I'll see you then. Bye!